Hey moms, welcome back to Momestly Me. In today's video, we have Jed, who's going to give us his Quaran-tea.
Jed is married. He has 2 children. They are 2.5 and 8 months old, and he is a paramedic. So he's gonna tell us what's been going on and how everything is affecting his family.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Is there a question or can I just talk? Yeah, so things have been different recently, obviously, as all of us are going through right now. My wife, Cassie, lost her job probably close to a month ago. She works in the film industry as an accountant, and all the film productions shut down with pretty much no notice. So that's been difficult dealing with, and also trying to go through the process of getting unemployment, because we got our first unemployment payment, I think, last week. Finally, it took almost a month to come through. And then we got a notice in the mail saying, you're not getting any more unemployment. This was all you get. So I'm not sure what the deal with that is, but that's something else we're going through right now. But it's been hard because doing what I do, I'm exposed to COVID patients all the time at work, almost every single shift. So we haven't really done any distancing in our house from me.
Right.
Probably should have done, but it's working so far. But a lot of things are different, and it's uncharted territory, and it's weird for all of us, and we're just getting through it day by day. So
yeah, Jed works with Rick, the guy that I married so I could have a baby. And I know, Rick isn't really doing, a lot of extra stuff, but, he has come home and said, we interacted with somebody who could have had it or did have it. So, he'll change downstairs. And we talked about, putting some shower stuff in the basement in case he wants to do stuff like that. Are you doing anything, extra to try to, if you know for a fact, that a patient does have it or could have it, are you doing extra stuff like that?
Yeah, just about every shift we have at least one patient that's confirmed positive for COVID. And yeah, I don't know if he told you that or not, but yeah, that's how it is pretty much. There's one nursing home in our response territory that actually has 30 plus cases of confirmed coronavirus.
Oh, yeah. I think
we go there pretty often, obviously. So
wow. Right.
We're pretty close to these patients because in the back of our ambulance, it's just a small box. Right. The other day I was pulling a patient over onto our stretcher, and I had to get into bed with her and pull her over on a sheet. So, I was this close to her. Of course,
yeah.
I've got the gown and everything else, but still, I trust the PPE, but you never know, But of course, what I've been doing for the past month or so is when I get home, I go straight in the garage. I take my uniform off completely. I'm wearing my underwear, and then I go straight up to the shower before I see anybody, before I touch anybody. Just to make sure I get all of my arms and my hair and everything else,
Yeah.
I don't really know what else I can do besides that.
No, there really isn't anything else.
But it sucks, getting naked in my garage.
Yeah.
Do you leave the door
That's what
open
my
for
sister
the neighbors?
Yeah, well, so I have a bunch of windows in the garage door so that everybody can see me. All the lights are on. It's perfect.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, you could go viral, and then maybe,
That's my hope. Yeah.
On the internet, not the other way.
Oh,
either
right.
way,
Yeah. My sister-in-law that we talked to already, I mentioned earlier, she's a nurse. She does the same thing. Mm-hmm. She said her kids, she'll go through the house and they're like, why are you naked? It's just because she's running.
My kids, they don't talk, so it's whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
They just cry at me.
Oh. Or maybe they take their shirt off and they're like, me too.
Yeah, really. They have to copy and mimic. Have you noticed a difference in calls? like volume, or what's that look like?
Yeah, actually, surprisingly enough, call volume has dropped off, which is good.
Oh.
It's the opposite of what I've expected. We're running less calls, but the calls that we do run are probably, I would say, more serious than typical.
Okay.
A lot more respiratory calls. And Rick and I have talked about this. We've noticed a lot more like death calls where we respond to like an obvious death or somebody that's died. A definite uptick in those types of calls. Because, the area that we work in, it's a lot of older people. We have a very large geriatric population, and they're like the number one, victim of this disease.
Yeah.
It seems like. So we're seeing a lot of that. But some days are hit or miss. But recently, it's definitely been, pretty not great.
And even though like Melinda and I know what kind of calls you normally have because of Rick, but like, talk about like what your normal calls are like, just for comparison for people who watch.
Well, I mean, you don't really have a normal day on this job, which is why it's so great, because you don't know what you're going to walk into. So, I mean, you can have a shift where you don't run any calls. You can have a shift where you run 10 calls back to back to back, and it's all, crazy stuff. Where we work, it's not usually that busy, and it's actually dropped off because we've added more trucks to the system. We service an area that is just north of the city of Atlanta. For people that don't know where we work at, but we work a city. It's a pretty big city. I think it's like 100,000 people. That's a suburb of Atlanta, and I think we typically run about 4 or 5 calls a shift in a 12-hour shift. But it has gotten busier some days, other days not. It's so hit or miss. I mean, it's
just okay.
Yeah, the thing about EMS, I mean, you never know what you're going to walk into. But I think recently we've run a lot of like death calls, like I said, a lot of respiratory calls, and then a couple calls that were just completely from out of left field. But I love this job,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the things Rick likes about it too.
Yeah.
And I feel like just because you're dealing with those kind of calls, I don't feel like he complains about people being dumb as often as he did, because you're not getting the same type of calls that you got before all the time. So it's like you're dealing with people who have like, who really are like sick, who really need help, and like you said, or who have already passed. But I do notice that he doesn't talk as much about that.
We still have all the bullshit calls, obviously, but we have the satisfaction of being able to help somebody with a more serious type of issue more often now. Cool,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's going to sound kind of sucky to say, but like people, it's good to know that people are actually following the recommendations of, if it's not a serious emergency, don't freaking call 911, because people call 911 for all kinds of stuff.
You do. And actually, what's cool is I've been able to do a lot of education at this point too. People will call and they're concerned because, hey, I've got a cough or a sneeze, or, I farted wrong. Do I have coronavirus?
Right.
And they call us and we get to show up and put the whole suit on and everything else and walk in their house, and they tell us what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Okay, you've got a low-grade fever of 100.5. You've got, a mild cough. You've got some body aches. That's not a reason to go to the hospital.
Right.
They're not going to admit you. They might do a COVID test on you, but just treat it like the flu or treat it like a bad case of the cold. Stay at home. Deal with the symptoms. Unless you're actively having difficulty breathing, there's no reason to go to the hospital. So
yeah. Well, and you technically fall into the category of being a higher risk for issues, right? Because you have asthma?
Yeah, I've got pretty bad asthma. It's actually gotten worse. I quit smoking about a year ago, and because my breathing was so bad, I was okay for a couple months, and then all of a sudden it just got worse. And I thought it was allergies. I mean, of course, I've always had bad allergies too, but now I'm taking like 3 different medications to deal with my respiratory issues. So I'm still not smoking, but
congratulations.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's great. Yeah. My dad actually quit smoking, and he's in his 60s, and he smoked since he was like 12 or 14 or whatever that generation started smoking at. And
15.
Yeah, and he has he always told me that he felt like after he quit smoking, he couldn't breathe anymore.
Yeah.
Like if he was smoking, he felt fine. But as soon as he quit, he felt like he just could not catch his breath, or like he's
Yeah, I
always
can totally relate to that. That's kind of how I feel too. But mine is worse when I like exert myself and I run around with kids or, lift anything. Way worse. So
Yeah.
It's because your lungs are trying to regenerate themselves and get rid of all of the crap, and it takes a long time.
Yeah, well, I expected that, but it's been like a year now, and I feel like it should be better. But I mean,
yeah, it takes a long time.
I had somebody once tell me that it takes like 10 years to get rid of all of the crap.
Yeah, it's gross. It's disgusting. I mean,
it takes a long time. Yeah.
Ugh.
So, like, you guys, are both of your families here? Like, do they both live here?
Yeah, my parents live here. Well, her mom is here. Her dad is in Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how are you guys kind of handling like social distancing in terms of like, because you've got the grandkids and like family that you're close to or friends that you're close to? Like, how are you guys trying to kind of like manage that without,
Yeah, I mean, my parents, they live about an hour away. I'm pretty close to them. I talk to them, a few times a week usually. And before all this happened, they would see the grandkids, my kids, at least once or twice a week.
Oh, wow.
But I haven't seen them in almost 2 months. And my dad is 71. My mom is 65, I think.
Okay.
And my mom has high blood pressure. My dad has high blood pressure. They both have all kinds of, pre-existing conditions that would make this a lot worse if they got it.
Sure.
So, and they're terrified. They don't leave the house to do anything almost, it seems like.
Yeah.
So I know it's killing them to not see the kids.
Yeah.
Cassie, my wife, hasn't seen her mom in probably a month or so. And she keeps wanting to come over and hang out with the kids. And Cassie's like, no, you need to stay at home. This isn't okay. Her dad is in Virginia, so we don't see him very often. But
yeah. Because my dad actually had, well, as of yesterday, it's been 2, but he actually had, both of my parents are in the age range where they're at a higher risk for difficulties if they catch it. And they live in Augusta. They're like 2.5 to 3 hours away, depending on which way you go or whatever. But, and he actually had to have a stent put in a couple weeks ago. And I think, and I kind of already talked about this, so I won't go on too long, but basically I kind of had this weird moment of like, one of the YouTubers that I watch, his dad had a similar surgery thing, kind of similar, and having to do with the heart, and his dad didn't make it through the surgery. So I just got this like really weird sense of like his mortality, and like thinking about like that upset me, but I'm like, I can't go see him. Like, he just had surgery on his heart. Like, I can't just go visit or, because there's all this stuff going on. That part really sucks. So we video chat with them every day. So they see all of our, through a screen every day, but it's not really like, it just sucks. Cause like, I'd really like to be able to see him and see that he's okay.
And it's weird too. We're at that age where we're starting to notice our parents getting older. At least I am,
No, me too.
My dad, he's like I said, 71. He's not a young man anymore. I look at him and he looks old. He looks frail. I know. I don't know how much time they have left. It's morbid, but like, it sucks that this is happening at like the worst time.
I think all of our parents are around the same age, because my mom's 62 and my dad's 71. My husband's parents are 70 and 73.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Rick's dad's in his 70s and his mom's late 60s, I think.
Yeah. And they all have conditions
and because my dad had to go back and have another stent put in, and then now they're saying they're probably gonna have to take his gallbladder. And like, I saw him on video briefly today because he had to stay overnight at the hospital last night, and he like what you were saying, like he just looks different.
Yeah, just
like it's upsetting. Like when I was talking to him on the phone earlier about how he had to have the second surgery, I was like, okay, just call me later, because I had to get off the phone because like I couldn't control my emotions about what was happening, and like being a couple hours away, like that could mean so much, like not being, so it's definitely not a fun time. Plus we are all in that age where things like that start to happen, where we start to lose people that we care about because they're getting older and things happen. So, and the whole virus thing just makes it worse because they're at a bigger risk of it turning into something serious.
Yeah.
So I don't know when this is going to end. My parents keep saying they want to come see the kids, but at the same time, like there's no time frame on this.
Well,
we're not going to have a vaccine for the next probably year at the least.
at
Yeah.
the, at the
As long as
very
I do my
least,
job, I'm going to continue to run COVID patients, which means I can't be around them.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So who
Yeah.
knows how long it'll be before I get to see them again in person.
Yeah.
That's the sad
That part
reality.
sucks.
They're saying too, this is going to make another appearance, around the fall or the winter.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we'll probably see just a bigger peak in general because
Georgia.
our state is open again, and like there's like all of a sudden I was in traffic again today, which I hadn't seen in almost 2 months.
Yeah.
And now just because the state is open, people are like, oh, okay. And everybody's like going out and doing things.
Even before that, I mean, me and Rick would always comment being at work at the amount of people that are still out and about living their lives. Like you go to Lowe's and the parking lot is full of people.
I mean, there are
plants and nobody really paid attention to the lockdown as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, there are things you have to do to continue to live your life, but then there are also extreme things like
you need to go to Lowe's.
Yeah.
To buy, home.
But it's because everybody's home. Everybody's home. Like our neighbors, every single person who lives around us, except maybe one, has been doing projects, building stuff, repainting stuff, like everybody, because they're home.
Yeah. We're going so crazy.
Hmm?
I mean, I get it. I do. But at the same time, like, seriously.
Well, and as of yesterday, so I guess the risk of getting it out and about in our state of Georgia had gone down, but as of yesterday, it's back up to 40% chance.
40%.
Really? I haven't heard that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not cool.
Released that yesterday. Yep.
That's crazy. Well, and it's not like before the decision was made, our numbers were going down like incrementally. Like it was like, no, they're still fucking up. Like, I don't like why is it even an option when like it's obviously not getting any better and people are staying home to some degree? Like
part of it's because we're an agricultural state and people are literally throwing their crops away and they are losing all of this food that they can't get out to people. Like they're doing the best they can to give it away for free because there's no other choice for a lot of that stuff right now. And I get that part, but at the same time, like I was interacting with one of the people we follow on Instagram earlier, and her state opened up today. So she took her 3-year-old and they had lunch outside of the house. And
I saw that. I saw her comment back to you. I don't know how much she liked what you said.
Did she comment back on the second one?
I don't know. I only got one of the notifications. I don't do Instagram, so I just check it periodically.
I just said to be just be cautious. That's all I said. It was talking about our
state.
Her
reply was, "I am cautious, but I'm not going to live in fear." And I was like, "What?"
I don't know that she said it that way, but I replied back and I agreed. I'm like, we can't live in fear. We just have to be careful. Like, we go out and we still have to live our life and do things. We just haven't quite taken the kids out yet.
Yeah. No, Oliver does not go out at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the kids are back in daycare as of this week, which was hard for my wife to do. It was hard for me too, but they've definitely changed their procedures as to how they're doing things.
Yeah.
They check temperatures when you arrive. They can only have, one set of parent and kids in the building at once when you do the drop off and pick up.
Mm-hmm.
But there has been like a pretty dramatic decrease in the amount of kids that are in daycare that we've noticed. So
they're having to decrease the class size. We talked about that.
Yeah, I think it's no more than 10 people per class.
It's different based on the classroom size, I think, and the size of the daycare or preschool.
Well, and then we know somebody that her kids' daycare never closed.
Oh, really?
And they didn't change anything in terms of like classroom size and stuff, but they changed a lot of their procedures and how, kind of like what you were saying, how they changed the way they do drop off and pick up and that kind of thing. And so far, like they did have one teacher that tested positive. That was not, she didn't come back. She was removed from for now or whatever the right term for that is without making it sound
She's
super
quarantining.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it. And like, but after that happened, even the teachers who were in direct contact with her, none of the children, like, thankfully it didn't turn into anything, but like they never closed. They just changed how they did a couple of things. And so far it's worked. But the other side of that is like, if she couldn't keep her kids in daycare during the day, she literally would not be able to do her job because she's worked from home. But she's a 5-year-old and a baby, like almost a 1.5-year-old. So it's like, it would have been impossible to keep them home and get done what she needed to do because her husband works during the day.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are going through that same thing. I mean,
and there are a lot of daycares that have stayed open because a lot of the parents are healthcare workers. Or essential employees too. And I don't know if that was the case with theirs or not.
Asking us what they wanted us to do, like as a collective of parents, I guess. And I guess enough parents responded to where we decided to close down, which I was fine with, because the state was closing down. They shut down Cobb County schools that same week, which is where we live. So it just made sense. We expected it,
Yeah.
But they also sent an email out, before they reopened saying, hey, are you guys okay with us reopening? Let's take a consensus and see. And I guess the parents responded, yes, let's do this. And we did. So,
yeah. Well, parents are probably losing their mind to some degree.
Absolutely. Yeah. Me included.
I mean, like I told Rick, he was trying to be thoughtful, but I don't know that he thought this all the way through. But like after a few weeks, I think he could tell a difference in me and like my overall mood and stuff. And he said, well, he was like, well, I guess you can't really go do anything, but Sunday, if you want to just take the day for yourself. And I'm like, and what, go sit in the basement? Like, what am I supposed to do? But even he can see that like being, like being home 7 days a week with a toddler and like, that's a lot. Like it's really difficult. And that's coming from someone who like missed her kids so much when she was at work that like, I went from only having, a couple hours a day with him and then weekends to like all day, 7 days a week, no break, no nothing.
My wife would say the same thing here. I mean, she was working so much before this happened and she would always say, I wish I could be home more with the kids. And then it happened,
Me too.
So how does she feel about it right now though?
Well, I don't know. I can't speak for her, but I definitely have noticed that she is a little more agitated, like easily agitated. We fight easier. We pick at each other. Things are difficult. I mean, it's been hard. Again, I have a 2.5-year-old son who is hell on wheels. I mean, he is ridiculous all the time. And I love him to death, but holy shit, that kid is difficult sometimes. And I'm lucky I get to go to work, like, every week. And she's stuck here at home with the kids, or was until this week, till daycare opened. But and I felt guilty, being able to have that ability to go to work and kind of get away for 12 hours at a time. When she didn't have that luxury, because our 8-month-old, she'll wake up 2 or 3 times a night sometimes, and she's got to get up with her. And then she's got to get up at 6 a.m. when my son wakes up, and is smothering her.
6 a.m.
And then she just doesn't get a break all day long until I come home at night. And I feel terrible about that, but we got to do what we got to do to get by and make money.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure the days that I have off that I'm home, that I give her, whatever break that I can and tell her to go somewhere, or, go off and do some project by herself, or, whatever makes you happy. Just take a couple hours. I'll try to, watch the kids and take care of the house a little bit. I try to do what I can. I feel like I never do enough, but it's not easy.
I mean, we're all like trying to figure this shit out. It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's super difficult. And I think like Oliver loves that I'm home more. Like so I used to be jealous. Well, and he still is really close to Rick, and I'll probably always be jealous of that, because the whole reason I wanted a boy is because I wanted a mama's boy.
Yeah.
A good one, not like one of those weird things.
Not a weird one.
Not a basement one.
Yeah, I would like him gone at least by 20. 20 is like my max, but no, like he's always been really close to Rick, because for the first part of majority of his life, up until this happened pretty much, Rick has been his primary caregiver. Like Rick is home with him during the day. Mommy is bedtime routine, the shit he doesn't like. And then he gets visitation on weekends with me, you know, like, so he's a lot closer to me now. Like he's asking about me. He's upset if I try to leave. Like I do love that part of it. Yeah. But it's like, I think like it's, at least for him, because he's not one of those older kids. He doesn't have a bunch of friends that he can't see right now. Like he's benefiting from me being home. Whereas like some kids are not processing it very well. They're struggling. Yeah. So like, I mean, did it seem like they liked well, and I mean, I know that she's only 8 months old, but I mean, did Big O seem to like her being home more, or like?
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, so Oliver, my son, we've always alternated like between who he's obsessed with for, you know, a couple months at a time. Yeah. He'll be a mama's boy for a month or two, and then he'll throw me to the side, and I'll get all upset. Yeah. And then, you know, 2 months later, he'll be like, "Hey, Daddy, what's up?"
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
And then Cassie will be like, "I feel like he's just obsessed with you. What's going on?" And we just go back and forth, you know, every few months.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now he's definitely all about her because she's home with him all day, you know.
Right. But yeah, and that's what Oliver does too. Whoever's here more is the one he connects to. Yeah. But like so before this happened, Melinda would keep him a couple days a week, and he would get a lot of time with Aria, which is one of his very few friends that are the same age as him. And at least in terms of people he knows that he spends actual time with. And, you know, the first couple weeks, I'm pretty sure I told her this already, but like the first couple weeks that this was going on, he asked about Aria constantly, because he was so used to having time with someone like him that he could play with and interact with that wasn't mommy or daddy or, you know, or Omi or Jeepar or like one of these other adult figures. And I think I missed that for him, because I feel like that was probably really, because, you know, he doesn't have a sibling. He doesn't have anybody to like pal around with. We're like it. But he seems to be okay otherwise. But I know in the beginning he really missed hanging out with another baby.
I feel like definitely. And Aria is the opposite. I feel like she was so like happy that Daddy was home all the time. Then now I feel like some of her little outbursts of like nah at different times, I think some of them are really like that. I think it's because now she's like, I want to go somewhere. I want to be somewhere else. I want to see my friends, because she was seeing Oliver, but I also went to my MOPS group. So she would go to play groups every couple of weeks as well and see other kids, and her cousins that are big kids, she would see them regularly. And I think it's just now, I don't know if she's almost 21 months. So I don't know how she processes it. She can't tell me. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure that's probably some of her outbursts now, as she's finally like, "That's enough. I would like to leave.
I am so over this shit.
I'm done with you."
Not being able to like express yourself in words. I'm sure it's frustrating.
Yeah. It's frustrating, but you know, we'll get through it. Eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the benefit to having littles is they adapt a little bit differently than the bigger kids do. I wouldn't necessarily say easier, but I feel like they don't really know what's going on. Right. So it's a little bit easier to process. Like I read something on, I guess probably Facebook, about a mom who didn't know what to do for her like 7 or 8 year old kid, because they did a Zoom meeting for like their class stuff or whatever. And she cried. The little girl cried when she got off the Zoom meeting because she missed her friends like so much. Oh, yeah. I don't have to deal with that. Like I have an almost 2-year-old. Yeah. Like I don't have to deal with that. Yeah. So like
it's a screen, you know, it's not real life. That's kind of weird to be that age. You know?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not the same. And like Melinda was saying, a lot of kids are having like outbursts of anger and frustration because like, even if they do know words, they don't know how to express what they're feeling because a lot of times they haven't felt it before.
It's natural.
So, yeah, it makes it harder. So the next thing I wanted to ask, I am not going to remember word for word, so I'm just going to read it. How has being in your field shaped how you view your field and the response of the country to pandemics in general?
It's a great question. That's a deep question.
I thought so.
Yeah, it's very thought provoking. I have to say, like I was going to say before, I'm proud of how my profession has come together, especially in like really hard hit areas like New York and New Jersey.
Yeah.
I've got a good many friends of mine who actually went up to New York City, and were working up there. I don't know if they still are currently, but they were up there for about a month, running 911 calls in the city because they were just so flooded. They were running, I think, 7,000 calls a day, which is way beyond what they were used to running. And the stories that I was hearing it was mayhem up there. Nothing like we see here, obviously. Down here, it's been relatively tame for the most part compared to that.
Yeah.
But hearing those stories from all those people and hearing about their commitment to their job and their community and other people, it's refreshing to hear that in a time like this, because I would imagine it's very easy to get burned out doing that type of thing day in and day out. To see that much death and that much sickness, it weighs on you in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I've experienced it too myself, but not to that degree, obviously. But I mean, I can't imagine getting up every single day and doing that for a month, day in and day out, and to still have that drive and that love of your job and of your community. It's amazing to me. So I've got to say, I'm very proud of that. I think that EMS needs more of that. We need more of those types of people. I'm trying to look at the question on my phone here because that was
you're fine.
It's a lot of different parts to it. Oh man, the way the country's responded, I've got mixed feelings about that without getting political.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that we've done a lot of things right, and I think we've done a lot of things wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to see in a few weeks the repercussions of doing things wrong in our state specifically, unfortunately. And I'm going to probably see that firsthand, and it's going to suck.
Yeah.
At the same time, this has been a great opportunity to kind of unite ourselves and find ourselves too, because we're spending all this time at home with our families. And I think that was greatly needed for a long time, finding out about things about our family and ourselves that we didn't know before, and our abilities to deal with adversity, which is pretty cool,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's it depends on how you want to view it.
A mixed bag.
Yeah. I'm trying to remain optimistic because it's hard, man. It really is.
Sure.
It's really, really easy to read the news all day and just get so negative and pessimistic because they just bombard you with all this crap about how it's going to kill all these people and life will never go back to the way it used to be. And you know what? Maybe life doesn't need to be the way it used to be. Maybe this is going to be a great catalyst for change. If anything, that's what I hope happens, is we start to look back at ourselves and at our systems and say, this went wrong because we had that in place. Let's fix that. Especially healthcare being the biggest one. I mean, healthcare in this country is a joke. I'm sorry, but it is.
No, it is.
It is.
So I hope that this is the catalyst for a lot of sweeping change for that specifically. I don't know if
I saw it. No, you didn't. No, it's good. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not, but it's called A Great Realization, and it's this guy who is telling a story to a kid in the perspective that they are in the future. I don't remember if it says how far in the future or whatever, but and he talks about how the virus changed the world and how people viewed each other and family and technology and where they put their values. And I got kind of emotional, like watching it, because it was talking about, stuff like plastic in the ocean. And it rhymes. So it's all kind of like poetic, and it's really pretty. We'll link it below. And it's like, but it talks about like all of those things about how the world changed because this happened and changed how we viewed everything.
Yeah, it sucks. It seems like we really only change things when we're hit with like moments of extreme adversity. It takes like, a lot of pain for people to be like, holy shit, this system doesn't work anymore. We should change this. And I hate that. I feel like it should be easier, but it's the only silver lining in this whole thing.
I would love to be very cautiously optimistic about that, but this is like the one thing that I am probably a huge pessimist about. I'm usually like sunshine and the bright side of things. It annoys Angel like a lot. But
Yeah. That's
I
because I'm a cynic. Yeah.
this is like the one thing because I think back to other things that have happened. It gets really good for like a couple of months after something, and then
Mhm.
it's like we forgot that it ever happened.
Yeah.
But this is
That's true.
It's going to be hard to forget this ever happened.
this is much different than the natural disasters that have
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just affecting us, it's the world.
Yeah.
This is drawn out. I mean,
Yeah.
It is. It's the entire world, and so
Yeah.
cautiously optimistic. But
I'm not. I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like everybody's gonna go back to being just as shitty as they were before.
you would like for them to be good.
But the thing that I do like about it is I feel like the things that are coming out of now, just because people will go back, and I don't think everybody will, but just because I think people are going to go back to the way they were, it doesn't change the things that are out there right now. It doesn't change people coming together and creating these pieces of content for people, whether it's funny parody videos, whether it's family, whatever they are. Like there's things out there now that like we now have in our neighborhood. We have one in the neighborhood next to us, but now we have we have people with bears in their windows, and we have one neighbor that just built one of those like book cabinet things where you borrow and take and whatever. And like, I feel like he was really motivated by the fact that there are so many kids that live in this neighborhood that are stuck at home with nothing to fucking do. Like there's board games in there, there's coloring stuff. We went and took books to put in it the other day. Like, and I feel like those things will always be, whether, people go back to being shitty or not. But I think the frustrating part is like the aspects of kindness, or like seeing how much people are all of a sudden appreciating people in the medical field. It's like, okay, but like they've been doing this. Like, I understand that it's different, but like, they've been doing this shit this whole time, and like now you care that they're doing all of this. It's just interesting, like that it takes that to appreciate people doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. It won't last. You saw this same thing after 9/11 with the appreciated firefighters,
Exactly.
Racism in America and firefighters, and that lasted for a couple of years, but
was it a few years? No, it's better than some other.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time in that sense, but like you said, medical workers, whether it's EMS, nurses, doctors, hospital workers, we do this. We train for this day in and day out. I've been doing this job for 10 years, and I treat highly infectious people pretty regularly.
Right.
I haven't really changed a lot of my the precautions I take at work, really, besides putting on a gown. I mean, I've always worn gloves. I've always worn masks with, respiratory infections and stuff like that. This is what we do. We're trained for this. Unfortunately, it's more commonplace now with this disease, but
Yeah,
and
I think it's even smaller things too. Like I saw, I think it's Facebook portal. I think I've talked about this before. The Facebook portal has an ad right now for Mother's Day, because that's what moms want for Mother's Day. I would like a nap. But it talks about, like, it says all these different things like, oh, it should be impossible to do all of these things. Okay. Fun fact. Moms also do that shit all the time. We are always doing those things. Like, but it's just interesting that the levels of appreciation that are coming in all kinds of different ways now. And it's just like, it's really not any different, except for obviously, like, there's this new element there, sure. But I mean, in terms of, like, I was always still the one that did a majority of the things in our house. Like, that's not because COVID-19 happened, so it's just kind of interesting to see the way things go when there is something going on.
It seems like, and now we're realizing the importance of some things that we took for granted all this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's true.
But that's human nature. I mean,
it is. No, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
We suck.
Yeah.
People suck.
Yeah, we do. in a lot of ways.
I hate them all.
Well-
People all suck.
But we're also pretty cool too sometimes. You got to give us credit when it's due.
Yeah.
When it's
We do some pretty incredible shit.
But Mr. Rogers says that to always look for the helpers, the people who go and do things for other people in time of need.
Yeah.
What a wise man.
Those are the best people.
Yep.
Typically.
Yeah. So is there, let's see, is there anything else that like you want to share with us, whether it has to do with like how you guys are handling it, what's going on in your field, just any final thoughts or anything? Oh, hi, Kitty.
Hey, Kitty.
Kitty break.
Not anything in particular. I think we've hit.
This is our special guest. I don't know the cat's name.
This is Seamus.
Oh,
Yeah.
Seamus. Cute.
That's my wife's cat. He's okay. I tolerate him.
Maybe he tolerates
Yeah, looks
you.
like you tolerate. Yeah.
Me and him have a love-hate relationship. He's
Got
but he's okay right now. he hit my son.
Oh no.
So I kind of didn't like that very much. But he also had it coming too. He grabbed his tail and wouldn't let go. So
Oh, yeah.
then he did it again and then got bit again. So I thought he would learn the first time, but he didn't.
Cause and effect takes some time to fully understand.
Yeah.
I was gonna say action consequence.
It was a pretty dramatic consequence. I thought that he would have learned the first time, but I guess he didn't. So
Oh,
I feel that way about some things with my Oliver, and it does. I won't give an example, but yeah, he definitely doesn't learn like you. Like, yeah, I don't understand.
yeah. Well, I mean, also men are idiots too. So it takes a few times.
Maybe.
This kid definitely. I mean,
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
no, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to add. I mean, I think you've pretty much summed up all the important points pretty well. So I just think that we got to keep doing what we're doing, for longer than what we think is probably right
Yeah.
to get a handle on this. And it sucks. And it's not going to be easy. I mean, this is uncharted territory for this country, for the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the economy's in the tank. It will recover eventually. It's not going to be dead forever. I mean,
Sure.
it's going to be painful for a lot of people. It's painful for me and my family. I mean, shit, I don't know how we're going to get by for the next few months, but life will go on.
Yeah.
And I have to hold out hope that, the best in humanity will shine through and we'll figure out a way out of this because we have to. I mean, what's the alternative? We just give up?
Yeah. This true.
We have to continue forward. So I've got to remain positive. It's really easy to get pessimistic about it,
yes.
but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that this time. So
Yeah.
it's about all I can do.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on and talking with his little
I'm
face.
sorry,
is
he is cleaning his
right
toes
here.
right now.
He's so. Oh my god!
What is he doing?
He's just
He's like, I'm just showing out for the camera.
yeah,
He's like,
that's not-
hey,
what are you doing?
moms.
You're just going to town.
Welcome back to Shamelessly Me. Oh, wow.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you guys liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell so that you can see other awesome videos like this and when we have more content come out. And follow us on social media at Momestly Me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. This is every time we talk to somebody new, it's enlightening. I know I say that every time, but it's true.
No, but
every
it's
time.
true. Everybody's got such different perspectives.
Yes, different perspectives. Even Jed and Nicole both being in the medical field,
Completely different.
Completely different perspectives and experiences, and it's been awesome. So
Yeah.
look out for more content like this. View the previous episodes if you haven't, and we'll see you next time. Bye, moms.